Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? 1 Corinthians 15:50-55. On February 3rd, 2023, at around 8:55 p.m., 38 cars of a Norfolk Southern freight train carrying hazardous materials derailed in East Palestine, Ohio.
A train has derailed and a huge fire has broke out, covering an entire neighborhood.
Minutes before 9 p.m. on a cold Friday night, a Norfolk Southern train heading from Madison, Illinois to Conway, Pennsylvania derails in East Palestine, right along the tracks that run behind leak oil. 11 of the 149 rail cars were transporting hazardous materials. 5 contained vinyl chloride, a toxic chemical used in a variety of plastic products. The fire was spreading quickly along the tracks.
Police in East Palestine are now evacuating people within a 1-mile radius of the fire.
The area is still very dangerous, very dangerous.
The derailed equipment included 11 tank cars carrying hazardous materials that subsequently ignited, fueling fires that damaged an additional 12 non-derailed rail cars. Ironically, on November 25th, 2022, only 70 days before the East Palestine train derailment, Netflix released a movie called White Noize, which blurs the line between fiction and reality when a tanker truck carrying toxic materials crashes into a train in a small Ohio town, creating a cataclysmic accident which casts a cloud of chemical waste over the town, causing an airborne toxic event.
Okay, roll film.
When we take a deeper look at both of these events, it becomes obvious that these two events were orchestrated to work synergistically as a satanic ritual meant to exalt the devil and his Antichrist. So without further ado, let's get into it. The movie White Noize was shot almost entirely in Northeast Ohio, where several East Palestine residents worked as extras in the movie. Clearly, this was not coincidence or by chance, and instead shows that this movie was predictive programming that purposefully foretold the coming orchestrated ritual event. The fact that White Noize was released by Netflix 70 days before the actual train derailment in East Palestine is very significant. The definition of white noise is meaningless or distracting commotion that is made to create the perfect circumstances to lull most folks into a peaceful slumber. Strong's Concordance lists G70 as agrupnia, which means sleeplessness, watching, keeping awake, to be circumspect, attentive, and ready against spiritual dangers and beguilements. Mark 13:37 declares, And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. It is important to note that white noise has also been connected to demonic spirits. We saw an example of this in the movie Poltergeist.
Do you see fire engines, or?
They're all over the place. Only looks to me like they're not getting too close. It must be pretty toxic or pretty explosive stuff.
The city of East Palestine was named after the Middle Eastern region of Palestine. In the Balfour Declaration of 1917, Britain promised its support for the establishment of a Jewish national home in Palestine.
Arthur Balfour, the British Foreign Secretary, penned a letter that would change the face of the Middle East. The letter, published on November 2nd, 1917, led to the creation of the State of Israel.
Mandatory Palestine was then established in 1920, and the British obtained a mandate for Palestine from the League of Nations in 1922.
Gave Britain a mandate to rule Palestine. But the Arabs, who had been living in Palestine for centuries, turned increasingly to resistance and violence, culminating in a revolt in 1936. Jewish anger also turned violent. The British gave up and handed the problem over to the United Nations. In 1947, the UN voted to partition Palestine, but the Arabs rejected this, and fighting broke out.
Notice the black smoke in East Palestine resembles the black smoke in Palestine, as well as in the movie White Noise. Also make note of the mention of death and destruction here, as you'll see it again later.
Pictures of death and destruction.